Hello. In this section, we're going to have a look at dates and times. And we're going to start by getting data, but not from our friend the Power BI data spreadsheet. Instead, we're going to start with a blank query. So there's some interesting things we can do with a blank query. Now I'm just making sure the window's just a bit larger than normal, so that when we get to date, time, duration, it looks like that. So, a blank query. Absolutely nothing in it. So let's add some data. Suppose I wanted to add the numbers from 1 to 999. I could do that. Equal sign, and in curly brackets, notice I've just entered the first curly bracket. The curly bracket denote a list. So I want numbers from 1 to 999. So I'm just going to type 1 and 2 dots and 999 and enter. And that gives me a list all the way from 1 to, if I scroll down far enough, 999. Now, this is a list, it's not a table. But we can transform the list to become a table. You can see we've got the various keep items, like keep the top 3 items or remove the top 3 items, remove duplicates, reverse the items, sort, and statistics that we've had a look at in the previous section. But we can convert this to a table, and to do that, click to table, either in the list tools or in the context menu. And enter a delimiter. Well, there's no need for a delimiter in a list with one column, but I'll just have a space, and click OK. And obviously a space won't work with a number, so let's just go back to that dialog box. I want none. And now we have a table with 1 to 999, and from there we can do things like adding additional table columns. So maybe I wanted to add 1 to this number there. So let's go back to where we were, 1 to 999. Now, if I wanted a list of letters, not that likely, but if I did, then I could put them in quotation marks, and here we have a list from A to Z. And again, you could convert that to a table. But it's a bit more difficult to do this with dates. But let's figure out how to do it. So first of all, a date can be expressed in a formula with a hash or pound sign at the beginning, and then the word date. And then open bracket, and we put in the year, the month, and the day. So we do that, and there is our answer. However, if I was to do exactly what I've just been doing, so date from the 1st of January 2022 to the 31st of January 2022, we get an error. We can't apply this operator ... to types date and date. So instead, we need to use a different function. Now, if I was using numbers, I could use list.numbers. So I could say where it starts, so we start at number 1, and where it ends at 999. And we get the same sort of list that we had before. But it's noticeable that there is two ways of doing this. So if you have a look at 1,999, there are 2 versions of this formula. One just starting with a number and then the count, and the second which has 3 arguments with the increment. So if I was to put in 2, then it would start at 1 and go up in 2s all the way to 999. Well, just like we got this in numbers, there is also a list function for dates. So list.dates, and again, you put in the start, you put in the count, how many you want, and you put in the step. So we want to start, in this case, at the date of 2022, January the 1st. We want a full year, so this would be 365 days, it's not a leap year. If, however, we put in, say, 364, it would stop 1 short, so it's not start with this date and generate another 364 more, it's how many do you want in total. And then the step as duration, so what is the interval between each of these days? And here we're going to use hash or pound duration. Now duration is measured in things like days, hours, minutes, and seconds. So we're putting 1 day, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So now you can see the list goes from the 1st of January 2022 all the way to the 31st of January 2022. Now this is called a date table. Date tables can be incredibly useful in Power BI because we know that this list contains every single date. We're not missing one. And so if we've got data which is being matched to dates, then we're not going on this list of data and going, okay, what's 2 days before the 22nd of December? Because if we had a list with incomplete dates, it might go, well, 2 days before, 22nd of December, the day before that is, or the item we've got is 21st of December, item before that is the 18th, because we're missing 2 dates. Here, however, we are guaranteed not to have any missing dates. And you can see, very swift to do. So hash date and hash duration. If I wanted to do this for times, and we will be doing this for times later on, then we have a list.times. And here we put in the time, so hash or pound time, and then let's start at midnight, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. We will have 96 of these, and we'll be going up in 0 days, 0 hours, 15 minutes, 0 seconds. So that gives us every quarter of an hour from 12 AM all the way to 11:45 PM. So let's go back to our list of dates that we have generated. In fact, I'm going to double this, why not? 730 days. So that generates it all the way going to the end of 2023. So this is the first step to having a date table. Other next steps could be to have the year in a column, the month in a column, the quarter in a column, the name of the day in a column, the name of the month in a column. It's just can be incredibly useful to not have to calculate them, but just look them up from a table. And we'll be doing that in the next video.